Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Shotgun Start. I'm already messing this up. Today is Friday, October 18th. Garrett, how are you doing?
Andy, I'm just doing great. I didn't even know until 5 seconds ago that I was co-hosting this entire episode, but I'm ready to go. You know, let's get into it. Totally unprepared, not my usual approach to things, but I feel like this is an appropriate way for me to host or co-host my first episode of the Shotgun Start. This is great.
I wasn't sure if you had co-hosted before. I didn't think you had, but welcome aboard.
Well, it's great to be aboard. My name's Garrett Morrison, by the way, everybody. You know, been working for Fried Egg for about 5 years, and yeah, just really excited to be part of this podcast.
Listen, organization is not a staple of this podcast, so it's good to have you really flung into this the way that we would. So we're gonna do. Brendan is out, obviously, and we're gonna do a little a unique episode. We're gonna hit on a couple things going on. Newsflash: there isn't a ton going on.
Fortunately.
And then we're going to go into golf advice, and we're going to we're going to reheat a Flashback Friday. So the Shriners. The Shriners,
really?
It's from 5 years ago. It's about the Pro V1. So it's kind of an interesting look back. The Shriners is historically the equipment release. And I was disappointed. Garrett, I was trying to research a golf club that I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find a ton of info on that I thought might have been released at the Shriners. I was trying to do research on the Nike Sasquatch.
You wanted to get like the first impressions of the Sasquatch, like players talking about how great it sounded, and you know,
just love the way it looks in a dress.
Yeah, it's perfect. Wouldn't change anything about it. This is the new thing in golf equipment. The next big thing.
I had something. I got a bone to pick that I needed to get out in the world.
Okay, put it out there. This is your podcast.
The Supermoons.
The Supermoons.
Have you heard this phenomenon? These supermoons, this and that, and these historic events. So
I have not heard of the supermoons. Are we talking about like Jupiter's moons?
No. It's like this moment when the moon's extra bright. So last night was a supermoon.
You know what? We noticed this. My family and I noticed this. We looked out a window in our house and we were like, "What's going on with that moon? That's like a werewolf moon."
So it's a supermoon, and what I read somewhere that it was the brightest of the 4 supermoons this year.
Huh.
Which begs the question:
what's a supermoon?
What is a supermoon? And what were the other 3 actually super if this one was so much brighter than the other 3? What's the barrier to getting to be a supermoon?
This is the perfect example of where our society is headed, Andy. You know, everything's super. And as they say in The Incredibles, like, if everyone's super, when everyone's super, nobody is. And so I agree that we need to raise our standards. Now, there's probably something concerning going on that's creating all these supermoons, like something sort of semi-apocalyptic. And so, you know, this is probably something we should be worried about. Nonetheless, we need to raise our standards for what qualifies as a supermoon. But it was a nice moon, I'll say. I was impressed by it. I was momentarily delighted by its brightness.
I mean, it was incredible. I was driving to our event yesterday, early in the morning, like way pre-sunrise, and the moon was like, it was insane how bright it was.
Yeah.
Like it was nuts. So
it's cool.
I'm not saying this wasn't a supermoon.
This was a supermoon. The other ones weren't.
My bone to pick is when the headline is, "This moon is way brighter than the other supermoons." My bone to pick is with the other supermoons.
What should we call it? What's above super?
I mean, there's all these things. It's like this is the first time in 52 years that this has happened. And I think that the barrier, it goes, this is all the same society that has created National Hot Dog Day and National Thank Your thank your the shoe shiner day. Like this is the world that we've created. Apparently, I heard this on, I can't remember what podcast. Maybe it was Ryan Russillo. Apparently, you can apply to get one of those national days.
Yes. Yeah, that's how it works. That's why there are so many of them and why so many of them don't make any sense. I think it's like a petition deal. Like if you get a certain amount of signatures, then you can have your holiday on the calendar. And yeah, it's completely absurd. I'm glad you're taking Brendan's position on this podcast, by the way. You're hosting the podcast. This is a very Brendan take. Too many holidays, too many supermoons. This is you have become Brendan, and I like that.
The Supermoon thing just really, really bugged me. I read the article and I'm like, wait a second. Like, this doesn't make any sense. If what's a dull supermoon? That should not receive supermoon denotation. And is there a scale? Like, what about the moon that was just on the cusp of being a supermoon?
We should just call it a good moon. It's it shouldn't even be official. We should just notice, hey, it's a nice moon tonight. But this latest one was a supermoon. How are supermoons created? Did you even go that deep on it, or were you just bothered by the terminology so much that you
didn't go that deep? Like anything, I just had a problem.
Is the sun exploding? Is that why this is happening?
Well, the varying stages of moons too. I would argue that I think the coolest moon is when you get just that tiny sliver over the full.
I'm something about school that always bothered me is that we stopped talking about the moon in 4th or 5th grade. We didn't talk about the moon in high school or college that much. I feel like we should have kept learning about the moon.
I was having a discussion with my neighbor the other day about the moon. You apparently now can purchase a piece of the moon.
Oh, well, isn't this just...
It's like $25 or something. and
you can, it's like a patch of dust.
Yeah, you own property on the moon.
Oh, so this is like an investment for the future.
Well, apparently America has United States of America has some right to property on the moon versus the rest of the world.
That's horrible, right? I mean, come on. Yeah, we got there. Maybe, I don't know. According to legend, we got there. But yeah, even if we did definitely get there, then that doesn't mean we own it.
My neighbor presented it as a really wonderful random gift that you could give to people that do something nice for you is send them their
a piece of the moon
their moon ownership certificate for $25. It's kind of, what it reminds me of? It's the Packers ownership bullshit where all their fans like to say that they're owners of the team.
Right. That's exactly what this is.
PJ, are you a Packers owner?
Packers owner. And all I wanted for Christmas when I was 11, when they did it for the first time in 30 years, was Packers
when they
ownership.
Offered shares.
Yep,
you insisted on this. You were 11 when this happened.
You were maybe 10 or 11. Yeah, I was in elementary
where your parents
school.
were like, "Man, we have a weird kid."
No, it was my grandfather. My grandfather was the only one that would aid and abet this Christmas gift.
Do you have any family roots in Wisconsin, or is this just
Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Is that why Aaron Rodgers came over to the Jets? Because he knew you were an owner, and
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think that actually not the Rodgers deal, but that's what pushed the Davante Adams trade across the table. And the next guy coming is Randall Cobb. They're just going to reunite the entire Packers.
We already did that. That didn't work. I'm good with that. I don't need that. I don't need year 2 of Randall Cobb.
It's like the Nova Knicks and the Packers Jets.
Well, yeah, Randall Cobb is getting broken up.
Yeah, there's some tension within the Nova Knicks. I noticed this. Yeah. Dante is not happy.
Randall Cobb playing the role of Dante. Everybody gets year 2, but Randall Cobb is out.
This is I'm sorry for the off the rails start.
Oh my God.
I got to ask you a question, Garrett. Did you see Joel Dahmen got penalized 4 shots for having 15 clubs in the bag?
I didn't see this. this is the extent of my lack of preparation. I've been thinking purely about golf courses and golf course architecture for months now. And so, yeah, I'm totally out of the news cycle. This is news to me. 15 clubs. What was the extra club that he had?
I don't know. I didn't read that far. I don't think that article.
A four iron.
Four iron.
Oh, okay, well that makes sense because 4 irons are kind of superfluous for most pros these days.
He had two. He was
right.
testing a new one. He was testing a new one.
If you've got 2 4 irons,
yeah. No. What's your? Where do you think the blame should lie with the 15 clubs? Is it player or caddy, or is it joint?
Right? It's got to be the caddy.
I mean, Gino. We can't throw Gino under the bus. I don't know if you know this. So Gino,
he's a Friday event player. Yeah.
Event winner.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Him and Derek Smith, Denny McCarthy's caddy, came in right off the Brookline U.S. Open and took down the Yale event. They came down.
I remember this a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean this was not kind of the definition of a ringer here. These guys are very, very good golfers.
I'll tell you what. Also, they were 2 happy boys. High on the hog after their players had career moments at majors. They both Joel was in the hunt and in the mix, and Denny were both in the mix. And I mean, I think Denny's kind of taken probably the next step from there, become like a very, very, very good PGA Tour player. But those guys, they were very happy boys coming
they were living
down
it
that
up
Monday.
Yeah, when you want to live it up, come to a Friday event.
But yeah, so they took down, but I think it's a joint responsibility.
Well, yes, I mean both are clearly contribute to the situation, but this is the caddy's job, right? The player has a bunch of other stuff to think about. The player is responsible for playing the golf. I feel like that's enough. The player should focus on that.
This is a marriage, though. There is no sole blame.
Look, I'm sure that they shared responsibility between each other. There's a nice, healthy relationship between these 2 men. But really, we all know, like, this is definitely the caddy's domain. What's in the player's bag? That's the caddy's world. They need to be 100% on that. With apologies to Gino, it happens. Mistakes happen. I'm not saying Gino's a bad caddy. He's clearly not.
I'm just happy it didn't happen in Woozy territory with the Open Championship on the line.
That would have been a real shame.
Woozy would have ascended to a whole new level of player with that Open Championship win too.
Yeah, paths not taken.
Yeah. I got to ask you your next question about golf here. The golf.
Give me a question.
Taylor Pendrith is 10 under, 3 ahead. Does this change the way that you think about Taylor Pendrith?
His success at the Shriners? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he may have laid an egg at the President's Cup, but man, did he absolutely go crazy at the Shriners? Yeah. I mean, this is the case with so many fall events. Do we ever? I mean, I guess we talk about Jamie Walker sometimes, and how good he was at these events. But
have these events the Sony Open champion? He was the Hawaii swing.
Did he ever? Who was great at the fall event? It was a Brendan Steele. I don't know.
Yeah, Brendan Steele, Patton Kazire.
Right. Yeah. There are certain players who do kind of make their name, but they're known only to us, to the sickos. I don't think these fall events really have any historical significance whatsoever. Good for Taylor. He's hitting his irons well, I guess. He's hitting the middle of the club face, which is something that maybe wasn't happening so much at the President's Cup. So I'm happy for him, and maybe he'll do well in a real event one of these days.
I think like the real thing that we learned at the President's Cup is the Pendy stopper. We should have a new template called the Pendy stopper,
like the Kobe stopper.
Yeah, it's the 17th hole at Royal Montreal. It's a benign, vanilla-looking par 3 with a pond on the right side, and that is Pendy's kryptonite.
Reese got in his head. What can you say? I mean, for all the horrible things we've said about Reese Jones over the year, he sure got Taylor Pendrith's goat. So, congratulations to Reese Jones.
It's like when the Raptors kept signing PJ Tucker to guard LeBron in the one playoff series.
Yeah, who's the what's the equivalent of that hole in the NBA? Is it God, what was that guy's name who had like a rap songs written about him, who was like the LeBron stopper for a while and was just ridiculously bad?
Well, I mean, JJ Barea is the ultimate LeBron stopper.
Great player.
It was Stevenson, Deshaun Stevenson.
Deshaun Stevenson. That's right. That's the name I was looking for. So that hole at Royal Montreal is the Deshaun Stevenson of golf architecture.
I think that hole is actually. I think JJ Barea is actually the perfect. There's a way. Do you want to know a way that Pendy could maybe overcome the 17th at Royal Montreal?
How?
He could get himself a True Golf launch box.
Ooh. Know his distances. That's right.
He could know his distances, but one of the things that you could do with True Golf launch box is you can play like thousands of golf courses. I don't know if Royal Montreal is on there, but the great thing about Reese Jones courses is that you can find a lookalike hole at almost all of them.
That's right.
So Pendy could spend all winter finding Reese Jones type golf courses on his launch box.
Yeah, just hit the approach to the 18th at Torrey Pines over and over again.
Yeah. So, launch box by True Golf, it's a portable launch monitor. It seamlessly connects to your PC or iOS device, and it makes it easy to, practice. It makes it easy to play golf. It's got simple setup, instant shot registration, accurate measured data, and an easy Wi-Fi connection. It can be used indoor or it can be used outdoor off of range mats. And it basically, it is a great way to practice. If you want to learn more about Launchbox, if Taylor Pendrith's listening, if Pendy's listening, he wants to learn more, visit truegolf.com/egg. All right, let's get back to Shriners talk. So there's an ire about, I think Joseph Lamagna tweeted out, there was a interruption in the PGA Tour's event this week because of high winds. I want to I think like it's an interesting discussion. They round 2 tee times are delayed 2 hours because of high winds, 4 hours in total. Now it begs the question, what type of conditions should the PGA Tour be playing in? It was deemed unsafe. I have heard that some grandstands might have fallen. Fences and scoreboards were blown over. So okay. I think this would deem unsafe.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good conversation with you to have. What should be the threshold for ball in hand and delays for weather on the PGA Tour?
Well, ball in hand and weather delays are two different issues for me, because usually the weather delays are storm related or wind related. I can understand a certain amount of wind related delays if the balls aren't staying on the greens, if grandstands are blowing down, then I get that decision to delay the event. Now, should the greens be so fast that balls are rolling off of them just because there's a little bit of wind? No, they shouldn't. But that's where we are. And so the PGA Tour has to make the right decision. As far as ball in hand goes, I mean, you know where I am with that. I think players should just be hitting mud balls. That would be great. I mean, it's kind of like when it rains at an F1 race. It's a different kind of race, and maybe a little bit dangerous. Like the mud balls could, find their way out of the playing corridors with a little more frequency. But it's fun to watch, and it's a distinctive part of golf. But I guess the PGA Tour has decided that if there's any chance that a player's shot is affected by mud, then we must cancel the entire tournament.
Yeah,
I think that goes a little bit far. But yes, if we're talking about grandstands falling, if that's really happening at TPC Summerlin, I get it.
Yeah, it's it's a I would agree with the grandstands. I think in general there needs to be a higher threshold for the mud balls and the idea, and I think with the drops too. I think this goes to like the overall philosophy. I think we need to have a higher threshold in general of like what a tournament golf lends itself to the ideology of fairness. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we have to be very careful with is avoiding prioritizing fair over the spirit of golf, which is inherently unfair. So
fairness even in hazards, right? Yeah. Not even talking about mud balls from the fairway, but you hit it a little bit offline at Black Desert, you're in amongst the lava and the desert, and you get drops because of burrowing animal holes. You can call anything a burrowing animal hole. I feel like the burden of proof should be a little bit higher if you're going to claim that something is a burrowing animal hole. It has to be pretty obvious that that's what you're dealing with. But in any case, I mean, the history of wind in golf is so rich. Wind is an essential part of links golf and the origins of the game and what makes the game interesting. So it really would be a shame if PGA Tour buildouts were so fragile that any kind of wind posed a hazard. So maybe that's something to think about here, right? Are we building grandstands that are a little bit too, liable to tip over if wind poses that kind of danger? Because wind is something that makes golf so interesting. Were grandstands tipping over at TPC Sawgrass that one day when they played in really heavy wind?
No, I don't think so. So
I don't get it. I mean, maybe the winds are that much stronger.
I think they were strong winds. I think they were real. I think I saw like 40 to 50 miles an hour. Okay. So
those are strong winds.
All right, let's get to some golf advice. sgsgolfadvice@gmail.com. Send them in. We'll do a couple of these and then we'll hop over to the flashback. PJ, are you going to the Mets game today?
Very reluctantly, yes. You
got to be beaten down after the last two.
You a little bit intimidated by Shohei and Mookie?
That ball left the bat so fast last night. Like it was over the fence before he was like halfway down the line.
You're talking about Shohei's home run?
Yeah.
Guy's a monster.
That was ridiculous. But
Dodgers are really good right now.
I have not heard a bell. No bell has rung yet. I can't really like give these tickets away. Nobody wants to go at this point. So
I gotta say as a now one of the things that's making me feel old is the Dodgers roll out the pitcher named Bueller, and I didn't see nearly enough Ferris Bueller jokes. Like I just was looking around, I'm like, God, like how is it just all about Bueller?
If he has a bad game, then you know exactly which meme to go to.
Yeah,
Bueller?
It's a true sign of aging is that was not just like forefront with every
PJ, have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
I have seen Ferris Bueller. I love that movie. So
okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
Will and Matt probably have it.
Have you seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
I have seen Ace Ventura: Pet
Detective. PJ is a man of culture.
Yeah,
this is the problem. This is not a generational thing.
All right, let's get to golf advice. 43, 2 kids, and only interest in fighting male pattern baldness. Good luck with that.
Yeah, there's not much you can do.
Following an amazing childhood growing up in a golf-obsessed town in northeast Scotland, I moved as an adult to southern England. What a great golfing life.
Wow.
After joining a local club, I made a great new golf friend. We're just leave his name out. And we often discussed a Scottish golf trip at some point in the future. In April 23, it finally happened, and we excitedly took the road north for a week of links golf. After spending time in the Highlands, we journeyed to St. Andrews, hopefully play the old course. After being unsuccessful in the ballot, my friend Scott, who lives and runs the guest house in St. Andrews, secured us a tee time. The ballot was at 4 p.m., known locally as a dark time due to the potential for daylight issues that could impact play towards the end of the round. Scott met us on the tee and introduced us to a fourth member of a group, Ethan, a high school senior from Mississippi. Ethan was on a golf trip with his dad, Robbie, and his new stepdad, Jeff. Probably should have left these names out. Although it was unclear why these two were holidaying together 4,000 miles from home, it was immediately clear that Ethan's mom had dramatically changed her thoughts on the key traits of a desirable life partner. Robbie was more of the mold of the President's Cup Tom Kim, loud, emotional, demonstrative, while Jeff, the new man, both looked and sounded like Trevor Immelman, calm, thoughtful, and wise. The trio had been staying in my friend's guest house, and when they missed out on the ballot, Scott invited Ethan to play. After we hit down the first fairway, Robbie and Jeff waved us off and walked into town to enjoy some dad-stepdad time together. Thankfully for us, the skies remained bright throughout our round, and we all enjoyed a magical time on the links. As we reached the road hole green, Robbie and Jeff joined us for the walk-up 18. After hitting our tee shots and taking photos on the recently deep patio at Slocan Bridge, we prepared to play our approach shots. By this stage, the darkness was quickly descending, but it remained playable, helped by the lighting of the nearby buildings. I hit my shot into the green from the left side of the fairway and it appeared to be close, but it was tricky to see in the fading light. Next up was Ethan, who sent his wedge of around 90 yards towards the pin. Next thing, all hell broke loose. Ball in the hole, eagle 2. Ethan, who had been quite reserved to this point, threw his club in celebration. Robbie started to scream, apology for the obscenity, hit the 15-second forward if your kids are in the car right now. Did you fucking see that? Did you fucking see that? There were chest pumps, hugs, explicitives, and Robbie was down on his knees kissing the divot. Will's on the phone to his ex-wife relaying the incredible news. Myself, my friend Stuart, and Jeff all walked over to congratulate Ethan. It was truly a great moment. In the minutes that followed, Ethan spoke to his mom, enjoyed a short heart-to-heart with Robbie, and a warm embrace with Jeff. The world felt like a lovely, wholesome place. As we approached the green, there was one ball sitting a foot from the hole. I walked up, marked the ball, proceeded to clean it. It was during the process that I had realized that I had Ethan's ball in my hand, and a quick download confirmed that my ball was in the hole.
This can't be real.
The series of events that led to this point were missed by everyone except Scott, who was greenside as the approach shots were hit, and witnessed Ethan's ball bounce my hand into the cup, bounce my ball into the cup. He could then only watch in horror of the ensuing commotion. The magnitude of the situation, its glorious chaos hit me quickly. I watched in awe and silence as Ethan approached the pin to retrieve his ball. He proceeded to pick it up, hold it aloft, and try out. And then, as he lowered the ball, his face dropped. He knew, I knew. He knew, I knew. And we both knew that this truth must travel with us to the grave.
This is fiction. Fiction.
It's really well written.
This is like a New Yorker story.
It's amazing. Like, one of my favorite things is when you get a greatly written golf advice email. This is truly well constructed.
Yeah, well done educational system of Southeast England.
This is something that J.L. Lewis would write. The late great J.L. Lewis. Yes.
Yeah.
Apologies for how that situation was handled, by the way. I've been meaning to apologize. That was
very serious.
That was earnest. Like that happened exactly how it
wasn't.
happened.
It was not a put on.
Yes. So Robbie was by this stage wiping away tears and telling everyone walking down Golf Place that his son had just eagled the last hole at the old course.
Oh my God.
For the rest of the night, Robbie bought drinks with carefree abandon at the Dun Vegan and regaled the locals with his tales of wedges and eagles at Old Tom Morris. All the while, an increasingly sheepish-looking Ethan stared at his pint of Tennent's, deliberating if silence was the right choice.
Oh my God.
If it is possible to dispense any advice on how to best handle this situation should it arise again, I would be very appreciative.
Should it arise again?
I think I have the answer. I have the answer to this situation.
Okay, go ahead.
As soon as you realize what happened, what you needed to do at this point, there's no coming back from this. At that point, you needed to be the asshole that grabs the ball out of the hole before the person that holds it out. And you needed to switch the balls. You could not. This poor kid. Poor kid.
You're saying he hesitated too long.
He hesitated too long. In this moment, you needed to be like Patrick Reed. Get both balls in your hand. Switch the balls. This is something that Patrick Reed has shown the ability to do.
Do you think he would have done it in this situation? No. He would have told them. He would have announced it immediately.
But you needed to do which, like, normally do not be the guy that pulls the ball out of the hole when somebody else makes a hole in one. I've seen this happen.
Right. Yeah. You've got to let the person discover it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of the great moments is like when you look down and you see the ball.
Yeah.
Whether you hole it out from 150 yards on a par 4, which is way more impressive than a hole in one. This is a great eagle. You know, this is a par 4 eagle. Is better
18th
than
hole at St. Andrews. I mean, it doesn't really get better.
So, anyways, what you needed to do here, you had to get the ball. You had to get the ball out before Ethan got there.
Yeah,
because you've ruined this kid's life.
Well, listen, it's understandable that you would hesitate in this situation. Things would be moving fast. You'd be trying to figure out if what you were seeing is actually what you're seeing. But serious talk here for a second. After the situation resolves in this way and the kid discovers the truth, immediately, maybe not immediately, but at some point in the night, you've got to pull the kid aside and say, you need to tell the truth. You've got to tell the truth.
Look at that. That's a former teacher's advice.
Yeah. You can't go on with this in your life starting at 18 years old or whatever the kid is, high school senior. You can't go on with this kind of tearing you apart inside. Your two dads. Like, it seems like I'm kind of charmed by what's going on here, right? The stepdad and the dad are hanging out and like trying to be friendly for the sake of the kid. That's great. You know, that's kind of, it's strange. It is strange, but it's very heartwarming. You know, I like it. And so you've got to tell the kid the truth is the important thing here. Everybody will understand and you'll feel a lot better.
Does this then turn into like the karmic situation of maybe 2 weeks ago that was, where the guy lied about having a hole in one as a 10-year-old and he thinks it's ruined his life? Like, does this turn into a karmic situation for Ethan from here?
Now, tell me if I'm remembering this right, but he ended up telling everybody like a couple of years after the fact, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like years after the fact. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't soon after, but he was young when it happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, it is kind of a similar situation. I'm wondering if this work of fiction was actually inspired by that
you
story.
You think this is a work of fiction? You think this guy came up with the stepdad situation? You think that if he did, he should be writing for us?
That's what I was gonna say.
Golf fiction.
Whoever wrote this email, get in touch with us. We'll get you writing for us. This is, I mean, what an amazingly well-constructed story. Like,
yeah,
I just can't believe how good it is. But
J.L. Lewis would be proud.
Oh, come on. Don't keep going back to that, Andy. Come on. You know better.
All right, so that does it for golf advice.
Have we given enough good advice on this situation? Have we addressed
we're just going
it?
to do this one. PJ's got to get to the Mets game. He's got to go to
that's right.
Wallow in his pit of despair.
Look,
and sitting,
PJ,
listen,
these are the moments when true fandom comes through, right? These are the moments for PJ.
I'm happy Brendan's not on the call on the pod, because I was a fan of a team down 3-1.
Wait, when did this happen?
The Cubs.
Oh yeah, okay.
When they beat the G's.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't let us win tonight. That's it. Kevin Millar.
So you're saying don't give me hope.
No, they're totally. I think
you think they're
I think they're just going to roll over. Yeah.
The good news is you got the Jets the exciting Jets to
Sunday night football.
It sounds like
Sunday
a long-time Mets fan talking. Come on, PJ. The Mets are good. Be in a position of strength here.
I don't know. All
right. Anyway.
All right. Before we get to our Flashback Friday, let's talk about Stripe. Stripe is a great partner of the Fried Egg and the Shotgun Start. You know what they make? They make it seamless for us to do.
What?
Collect payment on things.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's not something we would be able to do on our own.
Honestly, like we have trouble with providers, like service providers. You know, there's a company that I've never once worried about, and it's like handles probably the most important part of our business is Stripe. So Stripe can help companies of all sizes. They can help companies like us that have, a handful of employees and, modest revenue numbers. They can also help giant companies like Alaska Airlines, Hertz, DoorDash, Instacart, Lyft, Marriott. There's like the general Stripe that just is the transactional stuff. That's stuff that that we use. They have the optimized checkout suite. 85% of consumers will abandon their cart if their preferred payment isn't offered. So Stripe helps you avoid abandoned carts by providing a wide range of payment options, no matter where your customer may be or how they prefer to pay. So, and then they also have Stripe Billing, which is a awesome, 300,000 businesses use this. This is 80% of SaaS companies either already charge or plan to charge based on usage. The subscription world keeps growing and evolving, and Stripe Billing helps you keep pace, helping you easily set up and manage flexible usage-based plans. So if you want to learn more about Stripe and all it can do for your business, I guarantee it can help your business. Visit stripe.com. All right, big thanks to Stripe. Let's get to the flashback about the Pro V1.
I love it. I love that we're doing this. This is right in my wheelhouse.
Flashback, you ready?
I'm ready. You told me you ran the spectrum of emotions. You're like, it's light. He's like, actually, it's fantastic. Kind of talked yourself into it. Let me hear it.
We're going back to the 2000 Invencis Classic. Invencis.
Okay. Las Vegas?
That was the Las Vegas tournament.
Okay.
Do you know who won?
2000? Tiger?
Billy Andrade.
Tiger was 96, 97. Okay.
Last year we did 96. We did 96. Tiger's first one.
That's right. We did.
Because Davis Love was using persimmon.
Yeah.
In 96.
That's right.
In a playoff against Tiger. It was amazing. So anyways, Billy Andrade wins. He saved his season. He had already paid for Q School. He'd already put the $4K in for Q School.
Okay.
So he said afterwards, I'm speechless. Said it more than once. He went from 159 to 43 in earnings and avoided Q School. And he had his PGA Tour card since '88, so he held on to it. And he said, writing that check for Q School was a real slap in the face for me. It was part of what had been a pretty lousy year for me. So finishing second this week was Phil. I went from playing in all 4 majors every year to the lowest point of my career this year when I wasn't eligible for any of them. You start to really appreciate things when you lose something you once had. So he credited the Rocket, Roger Clemens, for encouraging him on Saturday night with a
around
phone
the year 2000.
Yeah, 2000.
Encouraging. That sounds like a euphemism for something.
So he called him from Saturday from the team's dressing room. So he was on the phone for a half hour chewing me out. It was a great pep talk. He told me to go and play like I'm supposed to.
That's pretty good. What? Why are they tight? What isn't he like Rhode Island and maybe Red Sox? They become friends. I don't know. Right?
I don't know.
All right.
But Roger Clemens phone call. So
chew you out.
Save the day for Billy Andrade. But really 2000 Las Vegas will be remembered for another event. Do you know what that is, Brendan?
Rack my brain. No, what is it?
This was the debut of the Pro V1 golf ball.
Oh, God. Here we go. All right.
So,
how many flashbacks have been a way to like just rant on the Pro V1?
This is not a rant. This is
Justin Leonard.
This is a ball that changed the game,
Justin Leonard.
I'm not saying whether or not the ball should have been allowed by the USGA is one thing, but this was a monumental moment in the game of golf.
I appreciate you going into it, to be clear.
Do you know how many players switched to the Pro V1 for the 2000
this first event?
Innovis or in Venice, whatever. Innovis.
I'd say like 70% of the field, 60% of the field.
47 players switched to the Pro V1 the first week. Think there's a lot of people that weren't sponsored by Titleist.
Titleist, of course. Okay, gotcha.
So this is the largest shift in equipment ever by like a mile.
Simultaneous week.
Yeah.
Same week.
So like to put it in perspective, like when they release like a new Pro V1 model now, like 5 guys will switch at Vegas.
And they slowly work their way into it, staggered over, months or
exactly. So 47 guys switched.
Wow.
They had, so it was like chaotic, I guess, at Titleist HQ. They didn't have enough golf balls.
So, okay. I imagine
executives were getting on planes
and flying
balls out there because they were going around the offices, like finding every Pro V1 they had to bring it to Vegas.
Scrounging them up.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I imagine like you'll get into this, but like why? The word was out. Everybody's hitting them on the range or wherever or testing them.
Yeah. I mean, it was nuts. It completely changed everything.
We're like, this is a different game. I hit 5 of these on the range. Like, give it to me now.
Yeah. And so Billy Andrade said that the ball resurrected his career. He was using it.
Wouldn't it be the opposite? Maybe not. Okay.
7 of the top 11 finishers, or 6 of the top 11 finishers, were using the Pro V1
in its first week.
Wow.
Wow.
So Phil Mickelson a couple weeks later said, "I honestly believe that if you are not playing this golf ball, then you are at a distinct disadvantage to the entire field."
Wow.
2001, the stagnant driving distance number, it hadn't moved very much.
Right.
The average driving distance on tour jumped 6 yards.
Oh my God.
So like here are just a few names, a few Titleist guys. Faxon 264 to 274. Wow. Andrade 272 to 280. Mickelson 288 to 294. Kenny Perry 282 to 292. All of a sudden, Kenny Perry is a great player because he's a bomber. Davis Love 288 to 296. So, all these guys are picking up like 8 to 10 yards.
Yep.
The Pro V1 quickly became like the most played ball on tour. Like it was just like that. The USGA right after released a statement saying any further significant increases in hitting distance at the highest level are undesirable.
Oh my God.
What are we doing?
Here we are. 19 years later.
What does that statement even mean?
Oh no.
This jogged my memory of a early egg pod with Aaron Oberholzer.
Oh, AO.
And
this is brilliant.
He talks about hitting the Pro V1 for the first time. And so it's like 3 minutes. It's really good. I'm going to play it right now.
Let's do it.
And now I'm losing track of time. It was 99, 2000, somewhere in there. I can't remember. But I was on the Canadian Tour. I totally remember. And I'm playing with these balls, and I'm pairing them side by side. And I get to the second hole at Stanford. And I decide, all right, I'm going to try these things. And I'm very reluctant. I'm a serial tinkerer. I'll tinker with anything, but it takes a lot for me to put it in my bag. A lot. I mean, it's got to be remarkably better for me to switch anything out. If I know I'm comfortable with something and I like something. And so I took it out on the second hole, on the second shot. I ripped the drive around the corner, kind of played a hard draw, and I had 9-iron in. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, I'll hit my regular ball, and then I'll hit the Pro V1. So I hit my regular professional 90, and I hit this beautiful 9-iron to the middle of my stance, and I kind of flighted it really gorgeous, and it went like a 4-iron or a 5-iron would go today. I mean, just this gorgeous little flighted 9-iron in there, about 12, 15 feet. I remember the shot like it was yesterday. And then I dropped the Pro V1, and I hit it, and the thing went freaking straight in the air. And I'm like, that's not a window I'm familiar with. And it went about 5 yards further. So I'm about a half a club longer, and I was about, I'd say, 25, 30 feet behind the pin. And so the rest of the 9 holes, I was just trying to figure out how far this ball was going to go and what it did, and I wasn't comfortable with it. So I didn't end up playing it on the Canadian Tour. We didn't get them until I think late 2000. But I remember testing it, and I'm like, man, I didn't like the original Pro V1 because I felt like I didn't have the same control. And then I'm down at Q School playing with Cameron Beckman in a practice round at the 2000 Q School in La Quinta, and we're at the Nicklaus private course. And Cameron can hit it. He can create some speed. And I hit a drive off one hole. I can't remember which hole it was on the Nicklaus private. And I popped it out there pretty good. And then he gets up there with that new Pro V1 and pops it, and he's 25 by me. Now, I was shorter than Cameron normally back then, but not by 25 yards. And I'm like, wow. And he was consistently 20 to 25 yards past me all day long. And I'm sitting there going, man, this might be a game changer here. Well, I end up playing with my regular professional 90 when there was a few guys, more than a few guys, I believe, that would switch to the Pro V1 that week. And I ended up missing my card by a shot in that Q School and had to go to the web tour, which was a blessing in disguise, quite honestly. But that's when I knew that things were about to change. When I saw a guy hit it 20, 25, 30 by me at times, when I'm sitting there going, oh man, I'm roasting these and I'm not even coming close to him. So it was an eye opener for sure, and that's where the ball changed. But then again, it changed again.
Then it changed again.
But
the USGA said
we won't accept.
Yeah,
we won't accept.
So that's Flashback Friday. Just
Las Vegas, where it all started.
A little memory lane back to Vegas when the USGA officially fell asleep at the wheel.
Lost control. They lost it, as Zach Johnson would say. A Titleist man himself.
They stayed asleep. They like went into a coma. They made that comment about not, pushing it, no more hitting the ball further. Yeah. Then they let the Pro V1X come out.
Well, this is the other thing that on the driver faces, these engineers are sending me messages like USGA just needs to put it right there. They can do it. They just need it. There's an exact science to this. USGA's just got to bring the hammer down and say, this is the line. Don't go over it. You know? And if you go over it after 100 hits in the center of the face, then figure it out. You know, you get a certain grace period or something. But
it doesn't seem like the USGA is interested.
I don't know. They need to get involved now. With all these guys.
I think they're trying to be everybody's friend.
Uh-huh.
Buddies with JT now. Tweet at him.
All right. Good flashback. The week it all changed. The entire pro game, the entire game of golf, right? The start of it.
Honestly, the first thing I think about every time were the tours in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah. Pro V1.
Huh. Makes sense.
This is where the train got off the tracks.
Yeah. All right. And we're still trying to get back. We're farther than ever off the tracks.
The best part about it is the regular Joe gets no distance gains from the Pro V1. It's only the top 1%.
Fast.
Yeah.
Swing speeds.
All right, Garrett, big thanks for coming on. You got anything that you particularly want people to pay attention to coming down the pipe?
Well, on an ongoing basis, Club TFE stuff.
Yeah,
I suppose.
You're
Course
deep in the
profiles,
weeds.
Design notebook. Yeah, we've been covering golf architecture on a weekly basis in Club TFE, and we're proud of what we're producing. We have a great team with Andy and Cameron and Matt just producing what I think is a really high level of content about golf course design. So if you're interested in that, then Club TFE is certainly for you. We've got a bunch of great videos coming out too on YouTube in the next couple of months. We've got a lot of things in the works. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel.
Please check out the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
The latest one is Digging into Design, the revival of that series, which we started like a couple of years ago, did a couple episodes. But this one is with Tom Doak and Andy talking about Sedge Valley. And it's really, really excellent.
All right. Thanks, Garrett, for jumping on. As unprepared as you may have been, you handled the opportunity with true professionalism that few have graced this podcast with.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about supermoons, then I'm your man, Andy. Thank you.